There we go. Hopefully this works. Sorry, I was trying to get this to work. All right. How we doing today, guys? Let's rechart this. Um, I lost yesterday, even after having a good trade in London session, and then it was a pretty rough, brutal loss. I was trying to leverage my percentage up to see if I can pass a little bit earlier, because sometimes that's what you get to do with these challenges, because you only have realistically 20 days to pass it. And when you have any pullback, you have an extra time period. But today I was profitable. I made some money, and then I closed myself out of the account. So today is just going to be purely speculative. I'm not going to be taking any live trades, so it's going to be a shorter stream. So let's go ahead and scroll out. So this is the 5,000 tick. Again, I trade on ticks, so that's my higher time frame. If anyone remembers, let me get my YouTube open. Go, give me 1 second. Crap. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just getting this set up.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and chart this out. I'm just going to do a little bit of trading today. I've already traded live today, so I'm not going to be doing that much. If you guys do have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to try my best to answer those questions for you. As you could tell, I did pull back. I didn't follow my strategy, to be honest. Had a rough day yesterday, and today I was able to fix it. So today I was able to bring it back a little bit. Basically, it was out of boredom, so I was waiting for class and decided, oh, let's trade on a phone. Shouldn't have done that, but I'm not successful on a phone. All right, so let's look at this. So we're currently moving down again. I put a temporary move for this. Okay, so generally it's a temporary move, okay? And we just got to be a little bit careful. Let me zoom in so you guys could see this. So this is where we're currently at right here, and this is our previous low, okay? And as you can see, I marked this out earlier today, and this is how I got my bullish bias after initially gathering that low. And I was like, okay, well, we're bullish. Let's look to up, and I assumed we were going to reverse somewhere around here, okay? We ended up going a little bit higher than I expected, so now we're pushing our way back down. Now we have a semi-strong bullish bias, bearish bias right now, okay? So let's take this out. Let me go ahead and mark this as... Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put this... It's red. So this just gives us our entire time frame when these line up. When these colors line up on all my time frames, that gives me a signal that, okay, I feel comfortable taking the position in the trend direction as long as we're in a discount zone. If it's not really lining up, then I might feel comfortable taking a counter trend trade against the higher time frame back into the discount zone, okay? And that's what I'm basically looking for when I am taking these trades. Is just where can I see enough room for this price to run? So when we're looking at this, I saw enough room for this price to run when it gave me this rejection over here, okay? So once we confirm that we grabbed this, okay? We grabbed this earlier, and then once we confirmed that we weren't breaking this low after multiple times over here, I decided, okay, well, we must be coming back up to retest the level. And that made a lot of sense, especially since, you know, technically we are bullish here and we could reverse up to this top-sided liquidity at any time, okay? So now that we have this and we know our internal liquidity, okay, what's our external liquidity? So where is it that we pulled back a few times? So we had a minor liquidity right here. Okay, so this is just a minor liquidity. This is areas where, you know, it didn't retest far enough for me to say we're in a discount zone, but it did technically create a higher low. And a lot of times it likes to use these places in order to show my setup. So that inverse fair value gap or that fair value gap fill to where we work our way up past that point, okay? So then we had this, we pulled up again, we tried, we failed, okay? So we failed, and then what happened is we did pull up into the discount zone right here, where we failed at, all right? So because we pulled in that discount zone where we failed at, then we started reversing back down. And so now we are in, what happened? Okay. So now we did reverse back down right here. And so therefore this could technically be considered as a minor high and a minor low. Although, if we're realistically looking at this, we can see we're bouncing off this area as well after filling this gap. So honestly, we have this. This is acting as, yes, a high and low, but it's also acting as liquidity. So we can definitely come back up there and fill this and grab that liquidity up here. So liquidity slash previous high. Okay. So because this is acting as liquidity, we have a gap right here actually. And if you guys look at this gap that we formed right here, this is a pretty clean gap fill. And this gap actually, I think it did. Let me double check. I think it grabbed it by 1 pip. Yes, it did. So it grabbed it by 1 pip. So now our entry, what we want to see is we want to see a slight retest back into this gap, preferably in the 50%. And what we can do is we can target that 1 to 2 up here. Even this liquidity is a possibility because we have this clear structure that has not been retested up here. Okay, so yes, we are bearish. Yes, it is matching our higher time frame trend, but we do have room to run on this top side. So if you don't really feel comfortable with this trade, you could also just target, you know, a 1 to 1.5 and then move your stop to break even. But it really is whatever your strategy is. Mine is always a 1 to 2 and then let a little bit run, or let it run until the next red candle shows me, if I feel like there is room to move. Okay. But my worry here is, what are we bouncing off of? Okay, we're not necessarily bouncing off a lot. So what most likely is going to come up to before failing? It could come anywhere between here and here. All right. And we can see how we close this gap. We're still forming this candle. Okay, but we do know we're bullish now. So let me go to mark this liquidity high and low right here. Again, it's a red circle. And then we do have a red circle down here. So we know we're bearish here. And look what we have over here. We have this green candle right up here. This is the previous structural grab that we had. We did pull up. We did pull up without a retest. So, I mean, technically this would not be an entry for you. If you did look at the lower time frame, and actually gave you a better entry. So let's say we saw this on the 500 time frame and we saw this setup occurring. You could see it, the setup roughly around right here. Hey, what's up, Joe? How's it doing? How's it going, man? Oh, I know no one's here. It's not a time. But if anyone watches it back, then hopefully it helps anyone out that's watching with this specific strategy, okay? But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, let me know, specifically around what my specific strategy is. I'm not really taking any trades right now, for the pure reason I've already made my trades for the day while I was out of my house. So these are some of the past trades I made. I haven't logged. I need to log the ones from the previous days, but these are some of the last ones with my journal with both my strategies right here. And it assigns basically points to the strategy itself. But yeah, that's my general strategy. And you can see the strategy on the bottom of my screen as well. A very basic type of strategy. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's see if there's going to be any setups here. Again, like I said, there's a small chance that this might not pull up further, but I am planning for it to hit this liquidity up here. I do think that's very much possibility. Maybe it might have a retest. But again, your best possible entry would have been up here for a 1 to 1.5. But this is an ideal setup for me. I mean, if you do get a retest back down, that would even be a better setup. I would have loved a retest. So this would have been a way better entry right here. If we got stuck on this little structure right here and we retested farther than this range, then worked our way up, that would have given us a way higher risk to reward here. So let me see. It actually did give us a setup right here as well. That's a weird candle. But I would have not taken that. That doesn't fit the specific strategy. And you can look at this on the 1000 tick right here. Rejected slightly off this order block right here, but it has yet to grab, you know, this liquidity above here, which I do think is possible. So all right. So we did end up rejecting off this. Could work our way back down to here, consolidate for a little bit. Potentially this might fail because both of our higher and lower time frames are bearish. So I don't know necessarily if it would give us a setup. This is like, this area is perfect for people that are generally bearish, but I do think this liquidity above here is even going to be grabbed soon before moving lower. I am aiming, actually, this is probably my target generally. I think we're going to hit here before we come down to here, before we break this area, but you know, I could be wrong. So sometimes what I'll do, I don't really do it, but like to show people, you could put like my little arrow right here is my target. And it just shows you, yes, we're bearish, but generally I am assuming that this will move down. And if we also look at the 5,000 tick area, technically we still are in a, even though this is minor, I didn't mean to write minor liquidity, minor structure. This can definitely, you know, we're seeing this move. This is our previous high and low. Nothing else has really retested far enough into the discount, you know, low enough into a range to really test that range. So we are technically still in a higher, in a move upwards. And this is the first time where it really tested within this range to where it gives us a sign if we are going to go bullish or if we're going to reverse down. Now, the only issue with the structure is it generally is pretty weak, right? We don't see really a trend being shown here. So that's why my idea is what we're going to do is we're going to come back up to here, grab something around this area. Maybe, and then I don't know necessarily what would happen next. That's my hypothesis so far, which on the 500 ticks, that's all I really need to get a trade out of. But, you know, we could do one of two things based on what it does. If it gives us an instant rejection off this liquidity high, we're probably going to move down to the bottom of this range right here. If it gives us a, you know, if it kind of comes up to here, hesitates for a while, maybe even comes a little bit lower and then takes out that high again, we can move up higher, potentially to this next setup up here, this next liquidity up here, which I would not want to see. If you want to continue this bearish structure down, that's not something you would want to see as well. And I can go ahead and delete this, and I'm just going to draw the shaded area right here so you guys can see it. And we'll see how this reacts around this range. You know, I could be completely wrong, but if I'm wrong, I don't enter. I mean, basically is that if it gives me a setup, a clean setup, I enter. And again, like everyone, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I am, so, as evidenced by yesterday, but the 4 out of 5 days, even though I had one bad day, is something that, you know, I'm still proud of, since I'm still working on specifically making sure the emotions don't take control of me again. Trying to have more fun with it. That's why I started this, doing this again. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer. I am working on a video, not really highly edited, but I'm working on like a script for a very short video to offer this as a free resource. This journal is a free resource for you guys. And this is something where maybe you don't want to use my strategy, but it already has the scores outlines, so you can create your own trend clarity, you know, your own like basically scoring system to make sure you're coming up with objective data and getting that 50%, you know, that top 50% of trades that's within your strategy, instead of, you know, taking anything that comes at you. You know, when people say, you know, people you watch online or anything like that, they say, well, only take the best trades. This system kind of gives you an ability to take the best trades. Or if, let's say, you're trading hyper scalping like me, it at least allows you to look back at it and, you know, see if the scoring system works or if you need to modify some things. And then even with this, I can always go back with these trade setups after I have the screenshots and look specifically what does not matter if I want to in the future. But basically everything I have listed here is everything that could matter with my setup that I could conceptualize. All right, so it's really important now to see how it reacts around this range. Is it going to hold it? Is it going to come back down? Really important to see how it reacts around this range. If it holds, then I do think we're going to come back above here. If it doesn't hold, then I think we're going to work down here. And yes, I could have re-entered this trade. Oh, specifically right here. This is a perfect entry if I would have seen it, but I was too busy explaining that. But I do think this thing's going to work all the way up to here now. Sorry. There you go. I would only target a 1 to 2 here. let's say if I actually got in my actual entry here, just to be fair. So realistically, I would only target that 1 to 2, which is up here, but just for the sake of this. Let's see if this would have worked out. Again, this is going to be a shorter stream. I have somewhere to go. I'm just trying to fit as much streaming in as I possibly can to keep myself on track with, you know, sticking to a strategy for, not strategy per se, but sticking to my emotions and making sure everything is just algorithmic, automatic, you know, not really deviating from the norm. This works over well. This works well because my, you know, my hypothetical entry is within this gap, which is the ideal place. You really want your entry to be as low in this gap, and you want the retest to do this. You don't want the retest to ever really close about below the gap that formed on it, okay? So like if this started to close below here, I might be cautious. I might scale out and scale back in if I need to, okay? But it looks like it is trying to hold. This is the 5,000 tick time frame, so it's going to be a little bit longer. This could really do anything. If this shows me a bullish candle at the end of this, so any bullish candle really, then that's going to give me more, that's going to strengthen my projection for aiming up to here. This is more of a risky trade. I mean, and let me explain why. In general, this is more of a risky trade because realistically, if we're looking at this, this could do anything. I'm not technically entering. Yes, I'm entering at the discounted area, but I'm not technically entering at the best possible area. So, I mean, this doesn't necessarily, this would be my ideal to fake sellers out on the market right here. But I mean, yeah, this could honestly come down to here, come back up. So love ads. This could realistically do anything right here. It could work its way up. It can work its way back down. But if I was going to try to psych out the most amount of sellers, then I would come back up to the stop loss up here. To these stop losses up here and then sell our way down. That's at least my thought process here. Now, if it does come straight down, I can catch it pretty early by just exiting once we see a failure of that gap right there, since we've already tested off of it. Sorry, this shaded gap right here is what I'm talking about. But you can see it's showing some strength there. I mean, even if we look at this, let's look at this from people liking ICT principles, right? We have the break of structure right here, a break of this minor gap. We held this with a wick. I mean, realistically, you could get a 1 to 2 here. So, I mean, this is just framing my direction, right? Framing my direction for the entry. You know, we play it based off ICT, 1 to 2 right here. Trade coming up for the liquidity up here, you get a 1 to 5. So, I mean, whatever you guys want to trade based off of it, this just is a good way to frame direction for the market from thinking this way. Even if you don't take trades based off this strategy, it's a good way for framing your direction. Like a day, you know, if you think of this as identifying your daily trend, right? Or identifying your session trend, session liquidity. This just gives you another edge in the market doing it this way. Don't like that red candle. Might not come up for that liquidity here yet, just yet. And if I really wanted to feel safe, I could move this down to here, you know, target just that 1 to 2, right? But it depends on what my position size and direction orientation was for this. if I wanted to trade this off the higher time frame, which is giving me more of a stronger, stronger ideology, a stronger direction, then I could do it from here. If I wanted to trade a shorter trade, which I usually do on the 500 time frame, this would be my setup right here. But we can see how this reacts. Don't necessarily love that rejection here. It's really important that we do hold this right here for the simulated trade. Very important we hold this for the simulated trade. And how many contracts would I technically risk here? You would risk 1 to 2 contracts probably right here. Sorry, 2 to 3 contracts on the micro if you're risking $150. Is there a little setup here? No. It's going to come lower. I mean, I would be worried that it comes down to here. What happens? There's not really any area to hold at this direction. So if it does break fully below this point, you need to be a little bit worried about this trade. This one wouldn't necessarily work out. That point is just managing the risk, as you can see. Not a great area. I mean, it realistically, if it breaks below here, it's probably over. This is going to stop you out. Let's see how this reacts here. Yep, stops you out. This trade wouldn't work out necessarily. That's okay. And again, please remember that all these are speculative trades. I'm not actually taking these specific trades. I'm practicing with you guys because I've already taken my trades for the day. Earlier at market open. But like I said, this was a little bit riskier earlier. Yeah, I wanted to see this come into liquidity. I was wrong. My thesis was wrong. We never grabbed that area. We did move up the discount here, so I mean that could have been it. But the fear you have here is this. Let me take this off so you can see a little bit better. Let me move this down. Okay. And like I said, if this broke down below here, it would come down and grab this bottom here. I mean, I wouldn't even say that's the end. I'd say this is taking out a new low at this point. He'll grab this liquidity here. Grab this liquidity, do something like this. Undetermined retest here, but I don't think it would come up this high yet. It might come up and grab this liquidity. I doubt it though. We haven't broke yet, so I mean if it showed you to set up right now, this would be perfect since we haven't broken this liquidity. Let's see if this gives a little setup here. Nope, no setup. This is going to give a setup. We're strongly bearish, so any setup I can see here is great. I don't necessarily love this one. This wouldn't give you a great risk reward. Like, let's pretend we got in here after this gap got closed. Like, as an ideal entry, we still have to target all the way down to here. It's not the best, especially with the range up here that it could go to. Did we technically make a new low? I can't really tell here. I guess we did. Yeah, I guess we did by 1 pip. I didn't see that. I don't know why the 5,000 time frame wasn't showing that. This is not a trade, by the way. I was looking for a potential. Oh, it did. I guess it did. I couldn't see this. Wow. My line was a little bit off, guys. I love these setups as well. I still can't figure out how to trade them properly. It takes a lot of looking the market and quick thinking. But when you see these 1 pip setups, and I literally mean 1 to 2 pips. Like you could see it, it's 2 pips, maybe 3 max. When you see that rejection off of a higher time frame, like important major structure low or high, you can always take a 1 to 5 risk to reward. I would say minimum 1 to 5 risk to reward. Let me show you an example. Let's say we entered off that 1 pip rejection, and we entered at the close of the candle. I can go to any setup that you see on it. One to 5. Let me go find another setup. I just still can't figure out how to implement it. This is way more than 1 pip. When you're looking at major structure, and it doesn't show up that frequently, I would say, for this specific setup, but I still can't figure out how to do it personally. Here's another one. But the issue is you're bearish right here, so maybe not. It really does not show up that much, I would say. No, I'm still not seeing one yet. Oh, here we go. No, never mind. I saw a few the other day when I was streaming. I guess here's one, but it's just not great because this would technically be considered as one because it never closed below the structure. You could look at it. Let me see how that actually looks on this. Yeah, technically considered as one, but not really. It's just like 20 pips. You need to barely tick below it. Doesn't occur that much. Here's the setup for a short. Again, ideal entries up here, stop loss down here. Take profit of 1 to 2. This is my setup because we have yet to grab this low. Like, show strength in this low, yep. And grab more than it entails. If I look at the... This is a ideal setup. Yes, we have room to run, like I said, but why was I looking for this? We have this inverted fair value gap here. We have room to move to the bottom side. Don't necessarily love this rejection right here, but I might exit this at this point or move it to break even. It gave me a separate setup direction, which is probably a better risk to reward here. Let's see how this reacts here. If you would have taken that or if you would have held this trade, it really depends on this candle right here. You would have exited this trade right here, re-entered the position on the retest, and targeted the other direction here. Because like I said, it has room to run on both directions. I know it seems very like if-then. It is very if-then. The main thing you're looking for is, does my price have room to run? And are we in a discounted area? If we're not in a discounted area, you can take a long. If we are in a discounted area, you want to avoid a long, because the long is against the current trend, right? Now, this is less likely to work out. Let me give you that example. This is less likely to work out. And the only reason I say that is because technically this one's more in favor of the trend right here. But why would I exit this previous trade that I set up right here? This one's a cleaner trade. So it's like rock, paper, scissors. I said that in multiple streams, but it's like rock, paper, scissors. Which is cleaner? Which has more room to run? That's basically it. This one technically does. This bearish trade does have more room to run. And you could stay in it if you wanted. But I exited once it showed me the strong candle. And now let's say this gets retested and it starts to show some weakness. You could probably exit this one as well and just take a small loss. Because you really, what you wanted to see here is you wanted to see impulsivity. Oh, we're going to come up and grab this gap. You would probably exit this now at this point. And you can see the higher time frame structure went in favor. So yeah, maybe would have gotten it wrong. Probably would have. Both these show setups probably got this wrong. This was, let me reflect on this for a second. I need to figure out what I did wrong here. That was not a good idea. Okay. So we had our general setup right here. Alright, I figured out what I did. So we had this. This is against the higher time frame trend. This came up to the discounted range of this previous structure. It failed. And then we start to work down. Same thing with this setup right here. This will come into the discounted structure. And this one might actually work out, but we grabbed our 1 to 2 already on the short trade. So you go in favor of the trend first, and which one has a cleaner setup? This one has a cleaner setup. Target 1 to 2 right here. If this starts to hold this range right here, you want to be a little bit careful, because we're technically outside of the range, so we could always come back up and grab this liquidity up here. Held the setup, you reverse your position maybe. It depends on once it takes out this high here. Or you could wait a second. Oh, that's not what I meant to draw. Oh, where is it? You could wait a second, let it grab it, give it a little bit more of a retest here. And if it holds again, then you can look for the trade up to this liquidity up here, or very least this liquidity up here. But there's not much to run in this range, so most likely it's either come here or it's going to reverse off this direction and come down, which should probably at this point just stick with the trend. But it's again, it's a 50-50, right? This looks cleaner. It grabbed the high, so I mean, I would probably reverse, but I would reverse this. But this looks cleaner. It's a weird one, because this setup looks a lot cleaner, but our trend is so bearish right now that you can't really predict where it's gonna go. So you would really want to just keep the bearish trade, but this does look cleaner. This is in a position where you're seeing setups that are against each other, and you just want to take the setup that goes with the trend. I mean, because what did this do? It did the similar thing as my general inverse fair value gap setup did right here. It came up to the discounted range right here, and then we failed. So yeah, you would probably take this. It failed, came down. I need to start to back test that more, because that's one of the confusing spots for me. It will trip me up sometimes. I think I might just stick with the, like, you know, like the book says, stick to the higher time frame trend here. Learning together, guys. Showed us another setup. This thing just loves tricking us on the 100 time frame here, but wouldn't take this. This is a lot weaker. I'll probably go ahead and end this stream. I'll be live tomorrow, though, guys. Live tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I need to work on figuring. I'm going to start doing some back testing on that. I'm going to do some back testing on this to see if it's, because you could technically, I guess you could technically take these trades, but it would be a 1-to-1 scalp. Let me see, because you would only want to target the discounted trend. These would be 1-to-1s, especially when you're in such a bearish trend, and I don't like taking 1-to-1s per se. Again, this came in the discount. This is showing weakness again. Came straight into my discounted zone again and rejected. Came back down to the liquidity. And for this specific setup, yeah, we didn't have anything here. This one's a better setup to the left over here. That's why I took this one. But let's say with this setup over here, all you do is you look at the candle to the left, okay? So we have this order block-ish candle, okay, to the left over here. And then you just look for the candle that's right outside of this kind of sweet zone. And you could either do this one, target that 1-to-2, or you could play a little bit less safe and do this one and then not have to target all the way to the bottom of the trend. Like, for example, this one would have stopped at the order block, so it would prevent you from, one prevents you from getting stopped out too early, the other one prevents you from not taking profit, okay? All right, you guys have a great day. I will talk with you again tomorrow. I know this one was a little bit more all over the place. I'm still experimenting a little bit with more specifics to add more rules to my scoring system. So as I start to develop that, I will let you guys know. But currently it's working out well. I mean, my trades, my win rate when I'm, you know, practice trading or whenever I'm on point, I can predict the market well for that day. My win rate, in general, my practice win rate, and I'm going to say that very specifically because my actual win rate is, I think it's 50%. Let me see. Let me actually check quickly. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, you can tell what happened yesterday. This was how bad it went. I actually worked my way up. I had a trade early on, and then I just over traded my account down to here. And then today I won 3 trades in a row after losing an initial trade. So it just was not a good day yesterday. I should have not traded off my computer. I didn't follow my rules at all. I write down on a calendar up here, over traded, high position size, which both means those are 2 of my biggest poor habits, you know, increasing my risk or over trading. So I write those next to also did not follow strategy, which I did follow my strategy yesterday. So I just over risked and over traded and didn't have a clear view of where the higher time frame would go. This kind of confused me yesterday. I was very confused. I didn't know how this was going to react, basically. I was bearish biased, but I was same thing with the day. It's just a little bit weird of structure. It's hard to predict compared to when I was trading the other day, you know, live on stream. All this is a lot easier with my strategy. This is more trend based. But you guys have a great day. I'll talk with you again later.